Angle in the first. Watch out.
Look at this.
Upton pops it up. Left side, Ellis Anderson's backpedaling. He is under it. He puts it away. The Texas Rangers have won a postseason series.
The Texas Rangers are American League champions.
And welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live. Coming at you, ninth inning, just ending. Rangers get swept by the Minnesota Twins by a final score of 9-3. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go through what went wrong in this one. There were multiple angles. What is new? You sound like a broken record at some point with this team, but as we always say, rain or shine, we're here. We're ready to talk about it. Hope you are too. Do a little therapy session and get on with our Thursday before the Rangers start a 3-game set with the San Diego Padres over the weekend. At least you'll have maybe some slightly better pitching in that series, right? You'll have Evo, you'll have DeGrom throwing tomorrow, obviously. Mackenzie Gore on Sunday. So maybe that's the glass half full here. But look, the offense not inspiring a lot of confidence either. I want to start here. Jack Leiter gives up 4 runs early on in this one right away. You give up the single, the 2-out single, and then you give up the 3-run bomb immediately afterwards. Rangers have been doing this, all series long, and it's been an issue really all season. Jack Leiter, 5.29 ERA, 3-7 record. Not that pitcher record is everything, but a 3-7 record, a 5.29 ERA. And this was a guy that was supposed to be taking a pretty massive step forward this year. We brought this up the other night, a couple nights ago, Talking Jake from John Boy Media, of course. Definitely somebody that I enjoy listening to. Those guys obviously don't get it right every single time, much like you're right on Rangers. You're not going to nail every single take, but Talking Jake was discussing Leiter as a dark horse Cy Young candidate, and I don't think he was alone in that. I think there were a lot of people that thought Jack Leiter could really take this massive step forward this year, and instead you're really getting a very, very inconsistent season thus far in 2026 from Lights. Look, he wasn't terrible after the first inning. He did still give up the 2-run bomb. Look, that ball was smoked. Alejandro Osuna maybe could have made a better play on it. It would have been a hell of a play. I mean, let's be honest about it. I know some people are probably going to be going in on Osuna. There's really, really a lot of Evan Carter apologists out there. I get it. Maybe you're one of them. I don't think Evan Carter in center field, the defense is that big of an upgrade for the black hole that the bat has been. But that's a topic for another day. I don't think that you hold that one against Osuna. That ball was absolutely mashed. And so Jack Leiter gives up 6 earned runs in this one. I think that a lot of us, going back to 2024 even, when Jack Leiter made his debut, I think in 24 we could all kind of sit and say to ourselves, this guy's young. This guy needs time to adjust in the big leagues, and it wasn't any cause for concern that he came and delivered, the 8+ ERA. I think you could get over that. Last year was better. I still had an ERA over 4, but it was better. It was definitely a step forward last year. This feels like a pretty big step backwards to me. Feels like a pretty big step backwards to me at this point. I think that there's a couple of common denominators. I think there's a couple of common factors that you can point to, but I think the biggest one is Mike Maddox. I think some of us, myself included, didn't think that the drop-off would be this steep. But it does appear that Mike Maddox is a common denominator here. You've got every single starting pitcher having a worse year than last year. I mean, maybe Kumar Rocker is the exception. I think Mackenzie Gore at this point is having a worse year than last year. Can't really blame that per se. Can't really use Gore as the case study. But nevertheless, Gore doing worse. And then all four of the starting pitchers, maybe with the exception of Kumar Rocker, I'd have to look at the advanced stats, doing worse. It is painful to watch the regression of the pitching staff. We knew it was coming. I think multiple times during the offseason I talked about how what the Rangers did last year with pitching was not sustainable. And it wasn't something that they were going to duplicate in 2026. It was too good. I didn't think it was going to fall off a cliff, and I'm not saying that it has. Rangers, I think, after today are going to be right around 9 or 10 in ERA league-wide. I don't know about starting pitching ERA, but league-wide ERA, relief pitch, starting pitch, both included in that. I think Rangers are still going to be ever so slightly in the top 10. So look, the pitching is not, falling off a cliff, but in comparison to last year, it does feel like it. It feels like the team is pitching-wise taking a bit of a step back here. And I cannot help but think that Mike Maddox has a very, very strong part in that. I don't know what happened behind closed doors. My hope and prayer is that Chris Young did all that he could to get Mike Maddox back. I suspect that the team did not do everything that they could to keep him. And maybe that's going into what we were talking about on Tuesday night. Maybe that's ego. Maybe that's hubris. Maybe that's the Rangers. We got this. We're okay. Jordan Teagues, the hot commodity, the hype guy that everybody was talking about. There was a lot of positivity around Jordan Teagues, and maybe rightfully so. But I think it's time to start asking some questions of Jordan Teagues. I think he has largely gone unscathed through some of these struggles, especially with the young pitchers who you're trying to develop. I think Teagues has really gotten off free of criticism for the most part. And I think it's time for the media. I think it's time for people to start asking questions of him. Right? One of his biggest jobs, I'm sure, when they were discussing who do we replace Maddox with, one of the biggest jobs that Teagues had was continuing the development of Leiter and Rocker. I mean, that's one of the biggest jobs that you would probably have anybody stepping into that role. Are you going to be able to develop the young guys that are supposed to be the future when it comes to our starting pitching? I do not think right now you can say in good conscience that that's happening. It doesn't feel like Kumar Rocker is taking a step forward this year. It doesn't feel like Jack Leiter is at all. It feels like Lights has taken a big step back. And it's not that they can't rebound. It's not that they can't have better seasons. There's still half a season left. I don't know how many starts, maybe 15 starts left for each player if they can stay healthy. I think Jordan Teagues has got to be taking some heat at this point. There's got to be some of the media, some of the beat writers asking questions. Right? It's a valid question at this point. You've seen Jack Leiter not come out with that step forward that everybody was expecting of him coming out of the gates in 2026. Kumar Rocker, same thing. I think Jordan Teagues has to be on the hot seat a little bit. I'm not saying lose his job. I'm not saying that they need to fire him tomorrow. I am saying I don't hear a lot of people talking Jordan Teagues right now. I hear a lot of people talking CY. I hear Skip in the mix. I don't hear a lot of Teagues talk. A lot of us want to fire Justin Veely, and maybe rightfully so. But I just don't hear a lot of Rangers fans. I don't hear a lot of media really questioning a new pitching coach coming in and 2 first-round picks, Leiter in 21, Rocker in 22, not really developing well this year. I would like to see some more homework done when it comes to the pitching coach. Again, not saying he needs to lose his job, but could we at least start asking questions? We keep rolling. Let me get to comments and things of that nature. Obviously, we're talking a lot about pitching. Understand that 3 runs is not going to get it done. Totally understand that the offense has not been good enough. I don't think there's any way around that. Just like I don't think there's any way around 10 first inning runs being given up to the Twins by Rangers starting pitching. I don't think there's any other way around it. That's not acceptable, and that's not good pitching. So, yeah, for anybody that wants to defend the pitching today and substitute with the offense, fine, but how do you get around 10 first inning runs allowed to one of the worst teams in baseball coming into this series? That's not good. The pitching was not good enough in this series. It wasn't good enough in the Boston series. You played back-to-back two of the worst teams in baseball, and you've lost 5 of 6 games to them. It's pathetic. It's not good. It's ridiculous. Add in any other adjective you would like. It is really embarrassing. And I feel bad for the fans. I always say that. I feel bad for the fans that are going to these games. Shoot, the World Cup attendees, those that are going to the World Cup and looking for something to do during the off days, my goodness. Glad we could give them a good representation of the Texas Rangers in 2026. It is wild. Guillermo, good to see you, my friend. It is wild that the Rangers are 19-14 against teams with a winning record, but just cannot figure it out against losing teams. It makes little to no sense. Little to no sense. Yeah, I mean, look, the sentiment for Teagues, I don't know what the connections are behind closed doors. Maybe there are some Rangers fans, I just don't follow them, that have been talking about Teagues and bringing up the question marks on him. Look, again, I'm not at the level of firing him, wanting him fired, but I am at the level, can we turn up the burner a little bit? I mean, look, a big part of this guy getting hired had to have been, do we feel like he can develop Leiter and Rocker and get them moving on to that next positive step? The answer's been no so far. It's been a resounding no. Fire him tonight. Let me scroll back here a little bit. Yup. Holly, good to see you. Appreciate the comment. Zach, team is unwatchable. Second game in a row. Gets turned off in the first couple innings. Jackson, what's good, man? Thanks for hanging out. Drew, good to see you too, even though you're trolling. Pitching is starting to regress. Offense can't get it together. Yeah, it's on both sides at this point. 9-31 when not scoring first. That's a great but terrible stat. JBJ, Evan Carter over Osuna. Anyone who thinks otherwise are ignorant. Look, who has the bigger ceiling, Evan Carter or Osuna? I do think Evan Carter at this point has a higher ceiling than Osuna. Now, that doesn't mean a lot right now. I mean, who cares what the ceiling is? I'm going to go ahead and care about what's going on right now on the field. I trust Osuna a lot more up at the plate than I do Evan Carter. Evan Carter at times has looked completely lost. I don't think I've ever felt that way about Osuna. In fact, Osuna had a couple of nice ABs and put a couple of really, really nice charges into the baseball today. Didn't work out. And I'll admit, I'm a big Alejandro Osuna fan. I know some of you maybe feel like I can't totally give an objective take here. But I do think most Rangers fans would agree. Who are you trusting right now up at the plate, Osuna or Carter? I think Osuna is resoundingly been the better option, at least offensively. If you want to talk defense, I don't think Osuna is a better defender than Evan Carter. I don't think that is true at all at this point. But my point has always been that I will take the small drop-off in defense, the small drop-off, for a guy that actually looks like he has a clue up at the dish. That's where we're at with Evan Carter. I don't think anybody's arguing the ceiling. Evan Carter was a top prospect. Alejandro Osuna was not. The pedigree is there and much more present than it is with Osuna. But Osuna actually has a clue right now up at the dish. Evan Carter, it doesn't really appear that that's the case. I mean, Osuna, you can throw him in there against a lefty, and it doesn't look embarrassing. Right? Carter against lefties right now looks horrific. And even against righties, sometimes it looks horrific. Yeah, he plays a great center field. I'll take the small dip from Evan Carter to Wyatt Langford. Who knows if Evan Carter even catches that baseball today? I mean, look, we talked about this. Evan Carter is a little below average for center fielders when it comes to jumps. He does make up for it with elite speed. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Evan Carter catches that home run ball, Jack's second of the game, right? That made it 6-0. I saw a little bit of that. Man, it would be great to have Carter out there. I don't even know if Carter gets a good enough jump on that to catch it. Look, I'm going off of advanced stats and what I hear people say around the league that I trust, that I support. Evan Carter, definitely a great defender. Not saying he isn't. I think he's a better defender than Osuna, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Evan catches that ball today, that Osuna, couldn't get the glove up over the fence for. Yeah. With you on this one, Jake, for sure. He's playing better. He's available. I think that is the bottom line here, 100%. I was thinking of watching the game and bringing some friends tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. Well, hey, look, tomorrow's DeGrom Day. I'm going anytime. I've always said this, and I will always say it. If you can go watch Jacob DeGrom, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't care what anybody says. The way that they are going to vote in pitchers is going to change over the next 5 years. Jacob DeGrom's not even going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame until probably, 35, maybe 33. It depends on when he retires, right? But isn't it a 5-year waiting period? Maybe I'm thinking of another sport, but I think by the time DeGrom is eligible for a Hall of Fame vote, the pitching requirements are going to be different. They're not going to be worried about, who got to 300 wins. It's a different age of baseball, man. DeGrom's a Hall of Famer. Anytime you can go watch Jacob DeGrom pitch, go watch him pitch. Go watch. And I would feel the same way about Evaldi. I don't think Evo is a Hall of Fame candidate lock like DeGrom is. But anytime you can watch Evo or DeGrom pitch, I would strongly encourage you to go. I know that as a whole, the team is not positive vibes right now. But anytime you can go watch some legends attack from that mound, look, I would do it in a heartbeat. So go. If you were planning on going tomorrow or on Saturday, go and watch Jacob DeGrom, Nathan Evaldi. Don't sell the tickets. Go watch some legends of the game and Rangers legends pitch, man. Do it. Support them. Don't know if the offense is going to come along for the ride, but, man, go watch Jacob DeGrom deal. Don't even feel bad about that for a second. Friday night, absolutely. Now, any other pitcher, Gore, Leiter, Rocker, yeah, maybe you think twice. Maybe you think twice at this point. But DeGrom or Evo, not a super tough decision. I hate how the RSM people continue to bring up Jake Burger and RBI ops like he's Shohei. Cade, I actually wanted to talk about this. Look, I don't know how much you subscribe to advanced stats. Some of you guys do, some of you guys don't. But on FanGraphs, there is a clutch stat. And the way they calculate it, I'm not going to be able to explain it perfectly, but they take a lot into account. They take in, game situation, how much the AB affects the win probability. There's a lot that goes into it. Jake Burger actually is, according to FanGraphs, the most clutch player on the Rangers. It's wild. Jake Burger, the most clutch player on the Rangers, according to FanGraphs. And I've got to walk it back. I know Jared Sandler was really pumping this up. And I kind of clapped back a little bit. I think Burger struck out with the bases loaded. And I clapped back a little bit. And I'm like, this is why Rangers fans feel the way they do. And I will admit the eye test on Burger is that he doesn't come through in the clutch. But I think he actually has come through in some pretty big moments, and just because of all of the failures around him, it just feels a lot more concentrated. But the worst or least clutch player on the Rangers right now, ironically, very ironically, is Corey Seager, according to FanGraphs. Again, there's a stat on FanGraphs called clutch. It has to do with win probability and players and when they come through and how their at-bats affect the win probability in the course of a game. Obviously, a bigger swing in win probability gives you more in the clutch stat department. Corey Seager, the least clutch Ranger this year. Now, obviously, like I said, the irony is not lost. Known for being the most clutch Ranger in history with that game 1 2-run bomb to tie it at 5 against the D-backs. Below him, because I think technically Corey Seager is not a qualified batter because of injuries, Brandon Nimmo is the second least clutch Ranger. Jake Burger up there, tops. By the way, Josh Young, another guy who's up there among the clutch. Osuna limited, but he also is up there among the clutch too. Don't know if that's gone down over the last couple of days, but in a small sample, Osuna was up there as well. Just to kind of talk this through a little bit, Kate, I'm not trying to totally disrupt the narrative here. I agree that it feels like there's been some meat that Jake Burger has left on the bone. I'll say that. But actually, he is, I think, coming through. I don't think you can really focus a lot of anger on Berg right now. The guys that I am probably most hacked off with on the Rangers, I think Wyatt Langford, although he had a really nice game today, I think you're looking for Langford to take off. Brandon Nimmo, I think, is another guy you're looking at. And over the last 30 games, Nims is hitting 228. He's got an OPS slightly north of 650. Like that's not going to cut it, right? You have some guys in the lineup that are just not coming through. Corey Seager's another one, right? Seager, to me, it's Seager. It's Brandon Nimmo, although he's a fan favorite. It's Nimmo and Langford. I mean, arguably, the guys that I think you should be most peeved at right now are the 3 guys that you thought were probably going to be the best hitters on the team, right? Those, to me, are the guys that everybody should be focusing their concentration on right now in the lineup. I don't even think it's a question. Like, yes, we can nitpick Burger. We can nitpick Zeke Duran, although he had a home run today. Zeke has been on a little bit of a slide, not hitting great over his last 15 games. Feels like ever since the Solution t-shirts came out, Zeke's taken a little bit of a tumble. Funny how that works out sometimes. They made the Danny Jansen t-shirt in spring training, and that was pretty much doomed from the start. The Zeke Duran t-shirt, can't say Zeke has been crushing it since they busted out the Solution tees, but it was nice to see Zeke go deep today. Got a hold of that one, no doubt. But I don't even worry about Zeke Duran and the slide that he's on. Nobody expected Zeke Duran to be a big contributor this year. I mean, look, if you're going to clap back and say, yeah, you did, dude, what? Nobody had Zeke Duran breakout year as the difference maker. Yeah, that's the keys to the Rangers' success, Zeke Duran. I don't think a lot of people had that on their bingo card. I think Zeke, you're happy with what you're getting from him, but you're not getting on him. You're not blaming him. Burger, to me, is kind of similar. Like, I don't worry about Burger as much because I didn't expect Burger to be an all-star this year. I expected him to be solid. I was really hopeful he could get back to that 30 home run form, but I never expected Jake Burger to be this elite level player. Guys like Nimmo, Langford, Seager, absolutely. The expectation was they were going to be strongly above average, if not elite. And right now, you're not getting that from them. And it's a big reason why the Rangers are struggling. Nimmo, again, is a very likable guy. I love Brandon Nimmo. I don't even want to say like. I love Brandon Nimmo. I think he is an awesome dude. And I love the way he plays the game. But let's be honest. We got a number 4 hitter, a cleanup hitter, who's hitting 730 right now with the OPS. Brandon Nimmo, the start to his 2026 campaign was phenomenal. Was looking like the best trade in Texas Rangers history. Brandon Nimmo has not homered in a game since May 29th. May 29th against Kansas City. That was the home sweep against Kansas City. Brandon Nimmo, May 29th since his last home run. It's tough, man. That's tough from your cleanup hitter. Haven't hit a home run in, almost 3 weeks. When will this organization admit they were wrong? Yeah. They've been wrong on a number of things. They've been right on some, but they've been wrong on a number of others. Soldier, what's good? Said in the beginning Mike Maddox leaving was going to hurt the pitching staff, but no one wanted to believe it. I definitely want to own up. Like, I thought they're going to be okay. Teagues was very highly touted. You still had DeGrom and Evo. And you felt like, man, is it really going to fall off that much when you got DeGrom, when you got Evo, when you got this Teagues guy who's really, really coming highly complimented? And I got to say, Swolger, you were right. If you were in this same ballpark as Swolger, thinking that Maddox was going to be a much bigger difference maker than what some people were making him out to be when the Rangers lost him, you were correct. I think Maddox is the common denominator here. Maddox is the common denominator. Everybody on staff, maybe with the exception of Rock, right? I think there might be an argument there that Rocker has had a little bit of a better campaign in 2026 versus 2025. You go to the 2025 numbers, Rock was sitting at a 5.74 ERA. He's at 4.17 this year. So Rocker, if you want to just go by ERA, yeah, it's looking better. Rocker's probably the one exception, though. Jacob deGrom has been a little bit worse. Evo's been worse. Leiter's been worse. And look, the bullpen has been totally remade. But I would submit one of the number one jobs of the new pitching coach, in this case, it's Jordan Teagues, right? One of his number one jobs, I'm sure, was develop Jack Leiter. Make him that really steady number 2 ace, even though we've already got a 1-2 punch in DeGrom Evo. I really do feel like Jack Leiter's ceiling is solid number 2. I don't think Jack Leiter is ever going to be on the level of a Paul Skeens or a Skubal or a DeGrom. I don't think that's going to happen. I would love for it to happen just for the record, but I don't think he's ever going to get to DeGrom level. I don't even think he's ever going to get to Evo level. I do think he could be a really solid number 2 starter. Notice I'm not saying like top end, high end. I don't think Lights is going to be like a 1B. I think he's going to be a very solid 2 at his ceiling. And so that, to me, is what I was hoping the Rangers would unlock this year. And they just haven't. Jordan Teagues has not been able to do it. And that's why I feel like he should be getting a little bit more heat than what he's getting right now. Solid Colby Lewis. Justin, you would take that. You really would take that. Big Tex, I'm with you. First inning's been a killer. Maurice, pretty good guess there, buddy. Good to see you. Rangers should be embarrassed with themselves. Yeah, they do need to figure it out. This is embarrassing. It really is. Hey, if you're going tomorrow, I can't get negative about a DeGrom day. I really can't. I love watching DeGrom pitch. He's a future Hall of Famer. Enjoy it, man. I'm going to try and be positive about the game tomorrow and about Evo's start. I really don't know what to expect on Sunday with Mackenzie Gore on the bump, but I do feel like, man, you've at least got a shot. You've at least got a chance here. We keep on rolling. Let's trade all of them for Byron Buxton and then screw the rest of our future. Hey, man, look, I do think at this point, it's really the thing that I've championed all season long, and it's not something I want to champion, but prepare yourself for the Rangers to do nothing at the deadline. I'm saying it right now. I hope that that's not the case, but I want you to mentally prepare yourself for the Rangers to do nothing at the deadline. I really find it hard to believe that CY is going to trade DeGrom or trade Eovaldi. I really find it hard to believe. I just think there's too much respect there. And I think it's the same way with Corey Seager. I think there's too much respect. I really find it hard to believe that CY is going to fire sale. And look, don't get it twisted. Am I saying that they shouldn't fire sale? No. But I'm telling you what I think the reality is going to be. And unfortunately, I think there is a world where CY does nothing at the deadline. Yeah, the Rangers might not be in a good enough spot to buy. Now, I think he could do some soft selling. There's some guys, obviously, that are in the last year of their deal. Think about like a Jock Peterson. If Jock continues to hit, maybe the Rangers are willing to eat a little bit of money. Maybe you do trade Jock to a contender for a prospect, right? I think with the one-year deals, but DeGrom and Evo are still under contract for 2027. I do think that there is a very strong possibility CY says to himself, let's reload in 2027 with DeGrom, with Evaldi, with Corey Seager. We're going to have to obviously do a lot of tweaking with the rest of the roster, but let's try and get some guys in free agency. Let's reload with DeGrom, Evo, and Seager. So I do think that sitting around and doing nothing is a strong possibility, maybe with the exception of selling off some of the, guys who are on a half-season rental. And that's what makes this so painful. I've said this multiple times. You want to do something, right? After watching an embarrassing series like this, you want to do something to shake this up. The Rangers could demote Jack Leiter. That might shake things up, send a little message. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But as a fan, you want to see the club do something, man. Improve this team. Get this team better. And it's so hard to really objectively, at the end of the day, understand that it's very possible they just do nothing. Keep going. Appreciate all y'all hanging. We also get Jordan Montgomery back, Cody Bradford back. My expectations are very low. Brendan, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the comments. Expectations are very low for Monty and Bradford. Cody Bradford hasn't pitched in 2 years. I mean, it has been 2 years since Cody Bradford was on the bump for Texas, man. I'm not sitting around thinking Cody Bradford or Jordan Montgomery are going to be saviors for this rotation. Now, could them coming back allow you some flexibility with Rocker and with Leiter if you wanted to demote them? Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it makes a lot of sense. If you feel like Rocker needs to go down to AAA, work on that changeup. If you feel like Jack Leiter needs to go down to AAA, work on that confidence. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It pisses me off badly when people get really up in their feelings about even mentioning demotions with some of these guys. You don't have to demote Jack Leiter forever, but what's the harm in sending him down to AAA to get his confidence back up and allow him to work on some things with some pressure really alleviated? Same thing with Rocker. They got Kumar Rocker out here trying to develop a changeup when he hadn't even mastered the 2 or 3 pitches that he already had in the arsenal. Like, why wouldn't you send down Kumar Rocker if you really want him to develop this changeup? You really think Kumar Rocker is good enough with the other pitches right now to develop a changeup on the fly in the big leagues? It doesn't make any sense. Makes 0 sense to me. So for me, if you send those guys down when Monty or when Cody Bradford get back, or if you want to throw Cal Quantrill in the rotation for 2 or 3 rounds while those guys go down to AAA for a few starts, I think that's fine too. I don't think having Cal Quantrill in the rotation while you send down Rocker to work on the changeup is going to be doomsday scenario for this team. I don't think it's going to get a whole lot worse going to Cal Quantrill. Might get a little worse. I don't think Cal is, some, number 1, number 2 guy, but I think he'll eat some innings for you and probably give you just as good of a chance to win with how Rocker and Leiter are going right now. Maybe slightly worse, but again, there's bigger issues than the number 4, number 5 starter at this point. I mean, there are. And so I just think, why not send those guys down to get right? Why not? Justin, appreciate you, man. All right, let me keep going over here. YouTube, we'll get back to you guys. Man, not a great day, but we're here talking it out nonetheless. Tomorrow's a new one. Padres coming in town. DeGrom, Evo pitching. We're going to try and flush this one out as best we can. I'll take your comments and questions throughout. Really appreciate all you guys tuning in. I know it's not an easy day to be talking Rangers baseball, man. We'll keep on rolling here. Let's see. For CY only caring about pitching staff needs to be a million times better. Kate, 100%. Well said. Missed the early mid-2010s, man. We were consistently winning. Always be grateful for 23. Yeah, wasn't that fun? That 5 to 6 year stretch, right? Was it 16 that was really the last? Was that the last real year the Rangers were in the playoffs? I think it was. I'm not sure 100% off the top of my head. I think it was 2016. Let me check this out. Yeah, Rangers won the division. They were 95-67 in 2017. the Rangers were 78 and 84, right? And they missed the playoffs. So 2016, man, that what was 7 years? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That was a beautiful 7-year stretch. I'm with you 100% on this, Nate. That was a beautiful 7-year stretch. I really thought that 23 was going to usher in. I've said this a number of times. I thought 23 was going to usher in another 7-year run. I really thought, man, the rest of this decade, this team is going to be competitive. That World Series is going to usher in a new era. We went through it from 2017 to 2022. I really thought 23 to 30 is going to be some really good baseball for Texas, and here we are. Time to spend my summer doing meaningful things, Richard. I don't blame you, brother. I hope you still come around every once in a while, but I don't blame you. Yeah, CY, very stubborn. That's why I suspect that the Rangers may not fire Sale. Do I think they explore the possibility of Foscue being more than a platoon guy? Look, I don't think so. I think with Foscue right now, what you've seen from him is a guy that has the potential to hit really well against lefties, and he's done that by and large. I think Foscue personally has made too many mental and physical mistakes out there for the club to really trust him a whole lot or feel like he needs some extended everyday runway. I think they've tried it, and it just doesn't work out great. I'm not saying that they're never going to go back to it, but I don't think Foscue has a ton of hay built up in the barn right now. I think they've kind of had to play Foscue because other plans haven't worked out. I mean, think about it. Just say things out loud. Would they really have signed Andrew McCutchen if they thought that Justin Foscue was the dude? No. Right? They didn't think super highly of Foscue coming into this season. Otherwise, why do you sign Andrew McCutchen? So for me, I don't think that they're planning to do a whole lot more with Foscue than what they've already done. Last time Bradford pitched, he got lit up in AAA. Is he playing right now? Is he on rehab assignment? It's hard for me to keep up. Cade, help me out on that one, brother. Appreciate you. Another good game to have missed. Yes, it was. Fire Veely now. Wouldn't bat an eye at that at all, Colts fan, but I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of a difference. Move Higgy at the deadline. Steven, what's good? Thanks for the comment. Keep Jansen and Diaz. Maybe give Malcolm more a look for next season. Need a young catcher who can keep long term. I want to keep the expectations low for Malcolm. I think that what he's doing right now in the minors is exciting, but we all know, you make it to the bigs, and it's just a different beast. You can be raking at A ball. It doesn't mean it's going to translate to the big league level. I'm not trying to poo-poo Malcolm Moore here. I think that the fact that he is on the rise is a good thing for Rangers baseball. But look, let's see how he does at AA. Let's see how he does at AAA. I don't think you're totally off kilter here, though, Steven. If you did trade Higgy, he's on the last year of his deal. I know that there's a lot of people, myself included, that are a little sour on DJ right now. I do think that Higgy would be the guy to trade because he's on an expiring contract, right? And so you ride with Diaz and you ride with Jansen. That makes sense to me. It does. How did CY look at this team and say, yeah, we're competitive? I think a lot of us thought the pitching was going to be okay, was going to be fine. The offense, I always felt like you needed to add at least one more bat. But I'm not really sure the promise that CY made to Brandon Nimmo, for Nimmo to waive the no trade clause. And I mean, Nimmo's not helping the case a ton right now, is he? But it was kind of laughable. Like, dude, how do you look at this team and see World Series contender? I actually will admit, I looked at this team and I see a team that could sneak into the playoffs at season onset. Right now, I'm not singing the same tune. Don't get it twisted. But at the beginning of the season, I actually thought with the roster, I said, look, they got to have a lot of things go right, but I could see this team sneaking into the playoffs. Never have I thought this year this team's going to win the World Series. I've never thought that one time. Playoffs at the beginning of the year, yeah, I did think that. Right now, the Rangers would have to go 50 and 38. They would have to go 50 and 38 to make the playoffs. I think to even have a shot to make the playoffs. I don't even think 50-38 is a foregone conclusion. If the Rangers go 50-38, they would be at 85 wins. I mean, 50-38 right now gets you to 85 dubs. So anybody still thinking they're going to win 90 games, you would have to go 55-33 down the stretch to win 90 games. You really think this team is going 55-33 down the stretch? It's not impossible, but it's a big leap. I think even 50-38 is a pretty dang big leap. It's hard when you say things out loud like this, but I do think we have to be realistic here. Just to get to 85 wins, the Rangers have to go 50-38. Yikes, man. Okay. At bat, I think we need to get back to the fundamentals. Yeah, put the ball in play, man. Put the ball in play, right? That's the big thing here. You have to put the ball in play more consistently. Rangers did that today, to be fair to them. They actually, my bad. I was looking at the Twins strikeout total. Rangers struck out 10 times. You can't have double-digit strikeouts. You just can't do it. Let's keep going here. Hard to be optimistic. Look, the Rangers are going to have to I've always said this. Thank you for the comment, my guy. Appreciate the support of the show. I know you've had a few good ones this week, so thank you. I think that you have to look at the standings. You have to look at the standings, but I do think that a lot of us right now, we look at the club. The eye test is not good. Now, could this team still obviously be strongly in a playoff spot at the end of July? Yeah, absolutely they could be. Like right now, they're right there in a playoff spot. Twins are right behind them, unfortunately, thanks to the sweep. But the Rangers are right there. So you have to look at the standings to ultimately determine it. But I do think that a strong part of it is, what is this team looking like? Because we can talk about the AL not being as competitive, right? We can talk about that all day long. And a lot of people, a lot of the coping going on right now with the Rangers is based around the fact that the AL is not very strong right now. There's a lot of mediocre teams. There's a few teams that are top tier. There's a lot of mediocrity. I don't know that you base your entire trade deadline on the fact that you're in a playoff spot. I think you genuinely have to ask yourself, is this team going to win the World Series? Right? And is one or two players going to help this team get to that spot? So I think you have to go about it a little bit more than just, is this team in a playoff spot? I think CY and the front office, Fenstermaker, all those guys, Figueroa, they've got to be honest. Like, is this team one or two players away from winning it all? If the answer is yes, then sure, I guess you go for it. But I think a lot of Rangers fans, myself included, would say it doesn't feel like it. It feels like this team probably needs about 4 or 5 players, which maybe you could do at the trade deadline. You could go crazy. Feels like this team is probably like 4 or 5 players away from winning a World Series. Like, give me a bullpen, like a high-octane righty that can do the 8th and 9th inning. No disrespect to Lats, but you need somebody else that can pitch with the game on the line. I don't think you feel great about Cole Winn, Peyton Gray, Collier, Baumler, all those. I don't think you feel great about them. High leverage in a playoff situation at this point, as much as I love those guys. I think you need probably another starting pitcher. And so that would be 2. And then I think the rest is hitters. I think you need another starting pitcher, which is weird to say, but I think that it is the reality. I know the running joke is CY is probably going to just go out and get another starting pitcher at the deadline and not get any offense. Like, it's hilarious because you can see it happening. I actually do think if this team really is serious about winning a World Series, I think you do need to go out and get another starting pitcher. I think that Mackenzie Gore, I think Jack Leiter, I think Kumar Rocker have all kind of shown you some inconsistencies. And look, if anything happens with DeGrom or Evo, we've been blessed, and I'll knock on wood. If anything happens with DeGrom and Evo, you're instantly, I don't want to say cooked, but at a big disadvantage. So, I mean, I think you got to go get that arm in the bullpen. You probably need to go get another quality starting pitcher. And I think, obviously, you need to get about 2 or 3 more bats in the lineup. That to me is the reality here. That's the reality. This is not a, hey, go and get Byron Buxton and this suddenly becomes a World Series team. I don't think so at all. I don't think that's the case at all. The AL mathematically won't be this terrible all year. This was kind of my point. A couple of people, I don't think Ethan is hanging out with us, but Ethan commented on Twitter. I posted, hey, they got to go 50 and 39, now 50 and 38 to get to 85 games. And he kind of posted, maybe 84 games even gets you into the playoffs with the state of the AL. And my response to him was, I don't think the AL is going to be bad forever this year. I don't think that there's going to be parity in the AL throughout the rest of the year. You're going to see 3 or 4 teams catch fire, and the rest is history, right? You're going to see some teams catch fire in the AL. It's not going to be bad forever. The perspective you should have is urgency here. Like, don't waste this opportunity, Texas. Don't waste this opportunity. All these teams are mediocre and not really taking the bull by the horns. Don't waste the opportunity, because eventually there's going to be some teams that get hot and you're going to get left behind. Period. I agree with this. More balance needed, 100%. Minus 23 season and a hot, unreal 10 years of really bad baseball. Yeah. I've said that before too. Like, a lot of people get on me, Austin, why are you so negative? Why are you always pessimistic? Well, I'll submit this to you. The Rangers are a losing team right now. I love them, man. I love this team to death. And I think those of you that have been with me for the past year, I know a lot of you guys have been hanging out since last year. Some of you guys have been hanging out since 24. Some of you guys have been hanging out since 23. You've watched enough of my shows. You've hung out with me enough to understand, you know I love this team. But I work in reality. This team is a losing team right now. Naturally, if we just want to be logical here, am I going to have more positive things to say about a losing team or more negative things to say? I mean, naturally, I'm watching more losses than wins. What do you think the commentary is going to slant? Let's just be logical here. You think that I'm happy when the Rangers aren't doing well? I'm not. I think some people get that twisted completely. I don't like making reels where you have to talk about how Jack Leiter stinking it up, man. I hate that. I'd much rather be doing hype reels every night on a 10-game win streak, even though sadly in our social media world today, negativity does get more attention. And I understand that. But look, I would take the dip in engagement while the Rangers are on a 10-game heater and I'm just gassing up dudes left and right that are crushing it. I would love to be doing that. I would love to be doing that. So, look, if you ever see people getting it a little bit turned around on social media interacting with me, man, back me up a little bit here. Like, I don't want to be negative, but I also don't want the Rangers to be 35 and 39, which they are right now. Keep on going. Appreciate all you guys. Let's keep on just going one by one with the comments here. We probably need more bats first before starting pitching. Yeah. I mean, but look, you need a game 4 guy, right? That's the issue here, is you need a game 4 guy who you can trust in the playoffs. Obviously in the beginning series, if you're in the wild card series, it's not as complicated. But, I mean, you got to turn the ball over to Mackenzie Gore, right? In a game 3, if you're in the wild card round, does anybody feel great turning the ball over to Mackenzie Gore in game 3 right now? Like, because that's what it would be, right? You would throw DeGrom, you would throw Evo, or maybe you flip that order. And then you're going Mackenzie Gore in a winner-take-all. Anybody feel great about that? That's why I'm saying, I know that it's hilarious because it's the running joke, but I don't think anybody feels great about Mackenzie Gore in a winner-take-all game 3 in the wild card round. So that's why I am saying I do think at this point you do have to consider getting another starting pitcher. Absolutely. But I do agree the bats need to get taken care of first. They do. You might need to go, this is actually a decent suggestion. There might be some wisdom, and it might work out that way anyway, Cade, because if it comes down to the wire, you might have DeGrom and Evo lined up at the end of the season, game 161, game 162, and then you have to start Gore in game 1. But, I mean, look, you don't want to see that. You want to see DeGrom, Evo, game 1, game 2, but there may be some wisdom in it. I do think that Monty is going to be something that a lot of fans want to see, and myself included. It'll just be good to see the dude on the mound again. Let's be real. Guy's a freaking legend. And by the way, I do throw legend around very loosely when it comes to the 2023 team. I've said this many times, and I'll say it again on the show today. Anyone that played or coached or was a part of the 2023 team, always going to be a Rangers legend. Even if they stunk in 24 and 25, yes, we're talking about the likes of Jonah Heim, Leody Taveras, Marcus Semien. They're always going to be Rangers legends. And so, yeah, Montgomery, Rangers legend. I will look forward to watching him get back on the mound for his first game in 2026, whenever that is. Let's keep rolling. Analytics are a tool to help measure success, but it feels like modern managers use analytics as a solution rather than a mere part of it. This actually goes well with this question, which is what you do with Smitty. I'm actually a little surprised that the team is playing Smitty as much as they are right now. It feels a little bit like favoritism. It really does. And I don't want to throw that around loosely, but I don't really see a strong reason why Josh Smith is getting a lot of reps over Nicky Lopez right now. Lopez obviously went 1-for-1 today. He's hitting .283 with a 679 OPS. Obviously, those numbers are better than Josh Smith. But Nicky Lopez, since joining the Rangers, truth serum here, just the numbers. Nicky Lopez, in his time as a Texas Ranger, is hitting .357 with an 838 OPS. I'll repeat, Nicky Lopez, in his time as a Ranger, is hitting .357 with an 838 OPS. Josh Smith, in his time as a Ranger in 2026, is .218 with a 564 OPS. I don't understand. You've got this guy that is on a heater since having joined your club. .357, man. These numbers don't lie. And we're not talking about, 10 at-bats. We're talking about 50-plus plate appearances. I mean, look, you can still maybe call that a fluke if you want. We're talking about a couple 2 to 3 weeks worth of full games. At this point, I'm riding the hot hand. I'm sorry, Josh Smith. I know that you were the everyday guy coming into spring training and coming into the season. The Nicky Lopez benching for Josh Smith really does confuse me. I don't understand it. I know I had some people, Smith's earned it. He's shown he can do it. He's a 250-plus hitter. I'm sorry. I'm not there with Josh Smith right now. I know he had the 67-mile-an-hour slap double down the line. I know it shows up like a legit extra base hit in the box score. I mean, Josh Smith hit that ball 67 miles an hour and was late on a fastball. Look, I know sometimes there are lefties like Luis Arraez that really do try and slap the ball the other way. I would not say that Smitty is big on that. Josh Smith has a very slow bat. I think a lot of times when Josh Smith pushes it the other way, it's because the bat is slow. I don't think Josh Smith is trying to do that in that spot. The bat's very slow, and so you're going to be late on fastballs naturally when you've got a slow bat. I don't want to trash Josh Smith, but it doesn't really make sense to me why you wouldn't ride the hot bat of Nicky Lopez, maybe put Smitty back into that super utility bench role. When Seager gets back, I do think Smitty goes to the bench. I don't think you try and play him in the outfield. If they force Josh Smith into the outfield, that to me is going to be a pretty telltale sign that we're not just going off of on-the-field results anymore, right? We're playing favorites. There's no reason why Josh Smith needs to be forced into an outfield role. You got Wyatt Langford that you can move to center. I'd much rather have Alejandro Osuna in left field than Josh Smith at this point. To me, I think Smitty needs to be in that super utility role. 100%. Duran, though, I'll say this. Duran, he did hit a homer today, and that was good because Duran has been in a bit of a slide, and I want to tell you about it because this is the only way we can really have these baselines in these discussions. And I know we love certain players more than others, but over his last 7 games, Zeke is hitting 179 with a 519 OPS. Over his last 15 games, 246 average with a 670, 681 OPS. Not bad. Again, Zeke is not a guy that I'm ever expecting to carry the offense. The fact that he's done it in the first 74 games is phenomenal. I do think, though, they're not going to give Zeke a crazy long runway, man. I think if they do get Seager back soon and Smitty goes to the bench, based on how I've seen this club operate with Josh Smith, I foresee them kind of licking their chops to get him back into the lineup. Like, they love them some Josh Smith. They really do. And look, I'm a Josh Smith fan, but I'm a fan of playing the best possible options. I don't feel like Josh Smith is your best possible option right now. I'd be playing Nicky Lopez over him. I'd probably still be playing Zeke Duran over him at this point. We'll see what they decide to do. Team shows zero energy, almost like they don't care. Look, I don't love killing players for what they do on their off days, but I'll just throw this out there. Is it a great look that the entire team was at the World Cup yesterday and then they get blown out today? I really don't want to play that game. I know some fans do, and they want to go in hard on that. Is it a great look that the team, almost the entire team, was at World Cup yesterday and then they get blown out in today's ball game? I mean, it's unfortunate. If they were winning, I don't think you would bat an eye. But the fact that they all go to the World Cup game yesterday and then just get absolutely smoked today, just not a great look. Not a great look. I'm not mad at them. And by the way, I don't want to at all try and take like this moral high ground here. I think these guys are grown adults that can do whatever they want on their off day. But I can already tell, probably going to rub some people the wrong way. You guys should be in the cage. You guys should be working, right? You're stinking it up right now. I really don't think that being in the cage or practicing versus going to the World Cup was probably going to help them a whole lot today. Let's be honest about it. But I don't know how good of a look it is. I'll just say that, y'all. Not sure. All right. Any free agents we've overlooked that are out there? No, I don't think so. I think Kutch was probably one of the top ones. Castellanos is probably in the other big name, but I don't think Castellanos is helping out a lot here. And the Rangers already have a log jam at outfield. You'd probably rather give Alejandro Osuna at bats over Nick Castellanos at this point. Caden says, I've not been a fan of Skip this year, not had the players back when it comes to bad calls. Yeah, you haven't seen a lot of fiery Skip this year. Has he gotten ejected? Has Skip been ejected yet this year? I don't think so. I'll say this. For Skip, he had to work with the roster that he had to work with this year, which was a flawed roster. Have I been in love with Skip's decision-making night in and night out? No, but I don't think you're going to have that with any manager. I do think you really expected out of Skip to work the Marlins magic. And we've kind of talked about this a little bit. Skip won an insane amount of one-run games in the 2023 season when he took the Marlins to the playoffs and when he won Manager of the Year. It wasn't sustainable. The Marlins won an insane amount of one-run games that year. And when you win way more one-run games than you lose, there's two ways to look at that. One of them is, they're just really good, right? They're really good at protecting that lead. The other way to look at it, which I probably lean, is that's going to come back down to earth. You're not always going to be elite in one-run games. It's probably going to work out where you're about 500 or close to it. Skip and the Marlins in 23 were elite in one-run games. And so for me, I am 100% not sitting here saying you fire Skip. He's not a good manager. Those aren't any things that I think to myself out loud. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I did expect Skip to be able to inject a little bit more into this situation than what the Rangers have shown thus far. I expected to see a little bit of a different ball club coming out in 2026, and I can't see that I say that. I can't say that I see that at this point. That to me is the best analysis I can give on Skip. It feels like there's something to be desired with the managing. And you feel like you were sold he's going to be able to take less and do more with it, and you haven't really seen that play out at this point. All right, we continue to keep going. Thank you to the people that have followed since the shows began. I really appreciate all you guys. Trying to make sure I don't forget anybody. Twins are an up and down, but only 3 games out. Yeah, the Twins, look, they've got a really good offense. You'd love to have the Twins offense if you're a Rangers fan. The Twins offense has got some really good hitters on it, like Josh Bell a lot. Josh Bell, that's a guy who I think got thrown around a little bit over the past couple of seasons. Josh Bell has kind of bounced around a little bit. He was in Washington. He was in San Diego. Now he's with Minnesota. Josh Bell, I mean, look, hometown kid. He loves hitting here. Byron Buxton, obviously, is a good bat. Royce Lewis has been hot of late. Larnach was crushing the baseball this series for the Twins. They've got a really good offense. The pitching is what was terrible for Minnesota up to this point. Joe Ryan has been really good, and he showcased that today. The Twins, I always kind of thought, man, that record just does not tell the whole story. Twins really do have the early 2000s Rangers feel to them. Like, it feels like the Twins can slug it with anybody, but, is their pitching going to be game? And this series, obviously, they were. Rangers went 0 for 18 with runners in scoring position against Minnie. Oh, my goodness, Greg. That just adds insult to injury. Just rubbing salt in it, baby. Yeah, I'm not shocked by this. The Rangers were terrible anytime they got on base. Dave Raymond, man, he was a little out of pocket today in a good way, in my opinion, just going off on the team. Like, what was the comment? I forget what it was when they grounded into a double play. I think Josh Young grounded into his league-leading 13th double play. For all the good Josh Young has done, man. League leader in double plays this year. Dave Raymond's comment was, they made the fatal mistake of putting runners on base. Obviously, a quote dripping with sarcasm. The Rangers, they made the fatal mistake of putting runners on base, and the inning ended in a double play. But honestly, that is a perfect summation of what Texas has done over the last probably, week at least? And there's obviously been a lot of that all season long, too. All right. Pittsburgh been hitting? Yep. Look, it doesn't take a whole lot to hit more than the Rangers, though. Darnell, I'm kind of with you, but obviously I do this partially for a living, so I'm going to be here night in and night out, but it is hard to watch. My wife, God bless her, she puts up with so much Rangers baseball. But it is funny. I got to laugh. Just her reactions. Like today, we were talking it through, and the game started at 11:30 my time, right? I'm out here in Vegas, for all y'all that don't know that. Grew up in Arlington, went to Arlington High, moved out here to Vegas when I was about 22 or so, 15 years later, man. So we have an 11:30 start time today. She gets back home from running errands, and it's about 11:35, and it's already 4-0. She's like, "What? I thought this game started at 11:30. It's 4-0 already." Like the comments that she'll drop watching some of these scores, especially in this Twins series, like the game when it was like 10-0 on Monday night. It's like, what? They're already down 5-0. It's the 3rd inning. What are we doing? I feel bad, for a lot of fans, man. Especially the ones that are going to these games. It's pathetic. It really is. This was a terrible, terrible series. If they fire Veely, would they promote internally? They got to go get someone. If you don't know Justin Veely, the hitting coach, he's not going to survive this season. I don't think. I mean, look, nothing would surprise me with this organization. There's no way, if they don't make the playoffs, that they should be retaining Justin Veely. But I think you got to go outside the org. I think you got to go with somebody proven. And I think you have to tempt somebody, right? Someone who's had success at the major league level. I think you've got to do all you can to get this back on track. I would not be going with, some new dude who's, maybe a former player. I'd be going with somebody proven with a big league track record that's been successful lately. Not a long time ago, back in the early 2010s or something weird, like a dude that's had an offense humming over the last 2 or 3 seasons. When Jansen's coming back, DFA Diaz would be hypocritical. Kept Carter up. Why can't he do the same for Diaz? Yeah, I don't think that they're going to get rid of Diaz. I really don't. Again, I'll use the same expression. Nothing would surprise me, but I feel like the move is definitely to keep Diaz on board. I think that you have got to keep a defensive catcher like him that can keep some of the miles off of Higgy and even DJ. I'm not saying the club is going to, sorry about that. Y'all got the full shot of my messy garage there on TikTok. I don't think that the move is going to be to do 3 catchers. I really don't. But I kind of like what was suggested. Who was it in the YouTube chat that suggested trading Higgy? I could see a move like that where they trade somebody. That way you keep Diaz. I think he has proven he is at least going to call a good game, and he is going to be a guy that can make a little bit of a difference with the bat and a big difference keeping the base runners in check and playing a great backstop for you. It would really piss me off if they DFA Diaz, man. I think that's the last thing a lot of us want to see. I'm with you on Young, even though he leads the league. Yeah, we were talking about the double plays. Young leads the league in double plays. But, yeah, at least he's putting the ball in play. It's the glass half full way to look at it. Sell at the trade deadline and rebuild. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to do that, Darnell. I'm not saying that that's the right thing, by the way, my guy. I think CY is too stubborn to fire sale. I think he is going to try and reload this in 2027 in the final year of DeGrom Evo. Now, if they totally suck in 27, assuming we have baseball, right? There's going to be that stoppage. I do think that you could see a sale of DeGrom, Evo, and Seager next year. I really feel like CY is going to dig the heels in and is probably going to keep everybody. I think CY might sell off some of the guys who are, a half-season rental, like a Jock Peterson, if Jock continues to hit well. Maybe a Kyle Higashioka, who's also on an expiring contract. Rangers also have some relief pitchers that are on expiring contracts as well. I do think that that's on the table. I really don't think that they're going to sell guys like DeGrom, Evo, and Seager. I think CY is a little too stubborn, man. I think we can see the pitching coach being fired soon. I think that he needs to be on the hot seat. I think more people need to be asking, what's going on with Jordan Teagues, man? Why is Jack Leiter taking a step back under Jordan Teagues this year? I do think that question needs to get asked by some of the beat writers. So I'm not trying to get Jordan Teagues fired, but I do think you need to start asking the questions. What is he doing or not doing that is causing some of these pitchers to regress this year in 2026? It's not the light show anymore. It's the get lit show. That is, man. That yeah, he's getting lit up left and right this year, unfortunately. Long-term plan to be bad and rebuild. I don't know. I think, honestly, it's this team's aspiration to be good enough, but not necessarily break the bank or go over the top in any way. Yeah, it is a major regression. I'm with you. Rocker, I think, is the one guy that has the slightly better stats, but I'm with you. It is a big regression, no doubt. Taylor Ward going to be a free agent. Could see them picking him up. I was a big fan of them trading for Taylor Ward last year. By the way, Jeff Passan put out his top 100 trade candidates article yesterday. I posted about this. By the way, if you want to get reaction from me during the game, I post on Facebook, I post on X, Twitter, I post on Threads, I post on pretty much everything during the game. So follow me on one of those. I don't do much in-game stuff on TikTok. Mostly on TikTok, I post my reels every day, and I post, obviously, my live stuff. But follow me on one of those socials if you want the in-game, the live reaction while the game's going on. But, yeah, I posted about the Jeff Passan trade article. No Rangers in the top 100 trade candidates. That, to me, tells you a lot. I think a lot of people around the league, clearly Jeff Passan being the number one insider, think that the Rangers are going to hold on to some of the big names. Otherwise, why wouldn't DeGrom or Evo or Corey Seager be in that top 100? So my read of no Rangers being in the top 100 of Jeff Passan's top 100 trade candidates article is that a lot of people around the league see the Rangers standing pat or maybe even becoming buyers, because the Rangers were linked to several players. Now, what does linked mean? It means, Jeff Passan, and I think he had a co-writer as well. I forget what her name was, but that to me is more Jeff seeing the fit than there actually being like a solid link, if that makes sense. So I guess what I'm trying to say is take this with a grain of salt. But Byron Buxton was one of them. See if I can rattle these off. I'll actually pull up my X account right now. Buxton was one. Ward was another one. Jeffers, Minnesota's catcher, was another one. I think that's a little more unlikely with the emergence of Diaz. Christian Walker, Astros. I don't think the Astros are going to trade Christian Walker to us in division. And then Wilson Contreras, who we just played and totally annihilated us in the Boston series over the weekend. Those were the 5 names that Passan brought up that the Rangers would be, potentially a good fit or a good landing spot for. Devers was not mentioned, but obviously that gets a little complicated. Devers, a third baseman by trade, a first baseman, DH guy. I think Devers is definitely interesting, but you got to take on a lot for Devers. Unless San Francisco is willing to eat some of that money, which I don't think they're going to have to. I think there'll be a team that maybe sees enough in Devers that they're willing to take on the contract, or at least a large majority of it. Devers, I just think, is a little more unlikely because it's long-term money and it's a lot of money. Let's keep rolling. Appreciate all you guys. Anything else? CY will trade for Chapman again over a bat. Look, Zach, I will say the only thing with Chapman, I would like a Chapman move. They need an arm like Chapman in the bullpen. They really do, y'all. Like Jacob Latz has been phenomenal. Jacob Junis has been phenomenal. But they need another high-octane arm in the bullpen. A lefty like Chapman would be fine. I mean, Chapman is going to get lefties and righties out alike. If you're not getting Chapman, I do think a right-hander is probably preferable. Rangers do have a lot of lefties. But, yeah, if you can get Chapman, yeah, sure, 100%. But I do think bats need to be prioritized. You're not going to win a World Series. You're not going to make it through the elite pitching that takes place in October with the current lineup. You're just not. You need to add 2 more bats probably at minimum. Darnell, appreciate it. Yeah, this was a giveaway. This hat was a giveaway. One of my buddies, real good buddies, that I grew up with, went to high school with, his mom worked at the stadium. I don't know if she still does or not, but she got a bunch of these at a giveaway one night, and so he brought me back like 3 or 4 of them. Love this. Nice trucker hat. And those of y'all that know, I I am out in my garage doing all of these lives, and in the hot Vegas summers, it is nice to be able to wear the trucker hat over some of the other ones, man. And it is cooking today. By the way, Round Rock right now is in Vegas. We might go to the game tonight, so maybe you'll get a few posts from me. We may go on Saturday. We're either going to go on Saturday or we're going to go tonight. I think Saturday's supposed to be a little cooler than tonight, so maybe we'll do Saturday instead, but we may do tonight's game. So look, we'll see. You might see some posts from me tonight. It might be Saturday night after the Padres game is over. But get to see Cam Cauley. That'll be fun. Cam, by the way, he was with the club on Tuesday. And it was potential that he was going to get added to the 40-man. They decided not to, and they sent him back to Vegas for this series. Round Rock won last night, 7-4. And I believe Cam had an RBI in that game. Right now, you look at the Round Rock lineup. Kelenic, by the way, is crushing it. Jared Kelenic, former Mariner, he is batting .370 with a 1137 OPS right now. Kelenic could be a guy that they call up. I actually was going back and forth with John Moore from DLLS. We were talking about, what do you do with Nicky Lopez when Seager gets back? And he feels pretty confident, John does, from DLLS, that they're going to keep Nicky Lopez. But I kind of made the point, which John really didn't answer when he and I were going back and forth on Twitter. Aren't Josh Smith and Nicky Lopez kind of the same player? Would you really want a Nicky Lopez, Josh Smith duo when you could have a power bat like Kelenic? The Rangers badly need a lefty bat that has power coming off the bench, right? They had Rowdy Tellez last year. I know Rowdy wasn't like elite, but Rowdy could give you power off the bench. Rangers have no left-handed thump right now off the bench. Zero. I wouldn't mind bringing up a guy like Kelenic that can give you a little thump off the bench, left-handed wise. Now, it may mean that Osuna gets moved back down to AAA. I don't know. But I don't really see the value in keeping both Lopez and Smith. Feel like they're the exact same player. They're both left-handed. They can both kind of play anywhere. I'd rather take a left-handed power bat like Kelenic, who's doing really well in AAA right now, over keeping Lopez and Smith when Corey Seager gets back. Now, Cam Cauley, 2 for 5 with 2 RBI last night as well. Those guys doing very, very well at Round Rock at this point. Diego Castillo, is having a good year. 28-year-old shortstop. He's hitting .315 with a 797 OPS. He's having a good season. Blaine Krim, 796 OPS. He was 1 for 4 last night. And look, you also have Taylor, the second baseman, 829 OPS. He has, I think, made it to the 181 AB mark. I was about to say getting close to 200 ABs. Look, 941 OPS on the season, but for Round Rock, right? For Round Rock. He was, I believe, with, who was it? Somebody else. He was with Frisco, excuse me. That's why you've got a little bit of a different average here. But there are some guys with some pop down at AAA. I don't know if any of them are going to come up and be a savior for Texas, but will be fun to at least see them for a little bit, see them for one game here in Vegas. I do think that Josh Smith is potential trade value for sure. For sure. All right, let me see. What else do we got? If only we had the team from the mid to late 90s, Helling, Bobby Witt, Aaron, Seeley, John, oh yeah, Wetland, absolutely. Look, those were fun teams. I've always said it's more fun to watch a good offense and mediocre to slightly below average pitching than to watch a team that has really good pitching but can't hit worth a lick. It's more fun when a team is hitting the baseball, man. It just is. So I will say, if I had the option between the two, I want to see a team that can hit the ball beyond just a team that can pitch really well, but they can't hit worth a crap. Feels like the front office believes that big names are enough to drive ticket sales. Yeah. I mean, look, that's a fair comment for sure. Ruben Sierra was so much fun to watch, 100%. Do I think Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker need more developing the minor leagues? Yes. 100% yes. And I think when you get Montgomery and Bradford back, there's going to be more room to do that. But I think right now, unfortunately, you don't have a lot of other guys that you can really turn it over to. Like you could put Cal Quantrill in the rotation, but then you still have to have Rocker or Leiter there. And I don't think there's anybody at the AAA level that they're really super pumped on bringing back or bringing up, I should say. So I think until Montgomery and Bradford get back, it is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Hey, look, tomorrow, DeGrom Day. Let's talk a little bit about tomorrow. I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm getting a little hot out here in the garage, and you know what? We've mulled over this loss today, this sweep. The Twins winning 3 in a row against Texas in their own backyard. But tomorrow's a new day, and we got DeGrom on the bump. DeGrom Bobble Day on Saturday. I mean, look, it would have been sweet if it would have worked out perfectly, but does feel a little weird. You got Evo pitching, you got DeGrom Day tomorrow. Would be fun if they moved it up, but these things are determined way far in advance. I guess you could push Evo up to Friday and pitch DeGrom on Saturday if you really wanted to, but I don't think they're going to do that. DeGrom tomorrow against Vasquez. Let's look at the matchup here, see what the lineups have done against each opposing pitcher. Against Vasquez, the Padres probable starter for tomorrow night. By the way, Vasquez 6-4 with a 3.63 ERA coming into this one, and he is coming off a very, I would say, solid start against Baltimore. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 8 base runners allowed. Before that, did have a rough outing against the Mets, then had another pretty nice outing against the Phillies. But this isn't a guy that goes super deep into ball games. Nevertheless, he's been fairly solid. 3.64 ERA. He kind of feels a lot, maybe not as much swing and miss, but the numbers read a lot like a rocker line. Like he's going to allow some traffic, but has found a way to work around it. Now, against Texas, Berger, 1 for 5 against him lifetime. Diaz, 0 for 5. Higgy, 0 for 2. Lopez and Nimmo, both 0 for 1. Osuna, 0 for 3. Jock Peterson, 2 for 8 with a bomb against Vasquez, the Padres' probable starter tomorrow. Smitty, 0 for 1. So look, small sample size, but Vasquez has pitched well against the Rangers in that limited amount of experience. And then DeGrom against the Padres. Bogarts, 1 for 6. France, 0 for 2, Machado, 6 for 20 lifetime. And then Tatis Jr., 1 for 7. Very small sample size Padres against DeGrom. DeGrom 5-4 with a 3.17 ERA on the year. And then, of course, DeGrom coming off of a really solid start against the Red Sox, right? You had 6 innings pitched. You had 2 earned runs. Before that, Cleveland, no earned runs. St. Louis, no earned runs. DeGrom, over his last 17 innings pitched, has only allowed 2 earned runs. So I think you got to feel really good about DeGrom going tomorrow. I know it was a depressing series against one of the worst teams in baseball, the Twins. But look, you get back on track. Tejas night tomorrow at the ballpark. One of the best to ever throw it, pitching on the mound for us. I think you got to feel good. Got to feel good. You got Evo going on Saturday. I'm going to choose to be a little more optimistic going into this series, but it's getting down to it. The Rangers, they got to figure this out, man. Got to figure this out. All right, y'all. Appreciate you hanging out. Thank you so much for all the comments and the support of the show. I know these are tough times to be a Rangers fan, getting swept by the Twinkies, but it is what it is. We go on to tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.